Hello, Miss Dredden.
I was unmuted. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Fine, fine.
Hello, Miss Pitts.
Good evening, Miss Peterson. Good evening, Miss Dredden.
Good evening, Miss Cheryl.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing better than I get that hoarseness, but my voice sounds a little bit better. I've been getting worked on with my I get it every winter.
Oh,
I have that drip.
yeah. Like a
Yeah.
nasal drip.
Yeah, and then that
Mhm.
I remember I suffered with that side with the pain.
Yes.
And it's over here now.
Oh,
So the doctor gave me what's it called? What's the name of this? Prednisone.
oh, okay. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't like taking that, but that's what I took the last time, and it helped.
Oh, good.
It opens you up.
Yeah.
Good.
So I don't know what is the problem with causing it. They say I might be carrying too heavy things. It must be the baby.
Yes,
I'm too old, kind of lift him, and he's getting heavy.
Is he?
Yes, he is. You gotta see how big he is one day. He's a biggy boy. He be talking.
you must be feeding it well.
Yeah. How old is he now?
He could be on the board of education the way he talks.
Oh, Lord.
Do we got an executive session today?
No.
Oh,
Uh,
Hey, Mr. Shaw, how are you?
I'm
I'm all right. How's everybody?
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Shaw.
Well, I was okay until my sister called and said we're getting snow.
Yep. Starting tonight, another like 3 to 5 inches.
Yeah, that's what they say.
And she
And
had
then
to
we're supposed to
chuckle.
get more over the weekend.
Yeah,
not
she had to chuckle because North Jersey's not going to get as much.
Yep.
I just want to put a note in there, Miss Pitts. My babysitter got to leave.
Okay, well, let her leave. Don't hold her back.
Okay, I'll try my best.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
Evening.
Good. How are you?
Wonderful.
Fine, fine, fine. How are you? Miss
I'm
Moore?
good. How are you?
Fine.
You know, I hope we realize today is what, the 10th?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
And we have had snow on the ground since February 1st. We've had snow on the ground.
Maybe it'll kill some of these germs.
Yeah,
you know?
that's what has been said in the past. That
In the past.
because a good snow with a good frost. Yeah, let's hope so.
It would be very good.
Yes, there's so much concentration on the COVID. I haven't heard anything about the flu. I guess the flu got scared and went away.
Yeah, they said the flu is like pretty much gone.
Oh, okay.
People are still getting it, but it's not as important as people getting the COVID. You know, you just don't want to get pneumonia with the flu. That's all.
Yeah. Looking at 6:25.
Wow. It's been a long day.
Yes. Is anyone written as of the Super Bowl? Because
Let's not talk about it.
okay, had I bet, I would have lost.
I lost too. I did bet.
Nah.
I did cook. Yeah, good evening.
What about you, Mr. Shaw? How did you do with the Super Bowl?
If I would have, well, we were in a Super Bowl pool that we did all right with.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
Real good.
Did you bet, Mr. Shaw?
No, if I would have bet, I probably would have won a decent amount of money.
Wow.
I was
Wow.
all the way.
Wow.
Oh, I
So,
see you got a background.
I know, right? He's on the beach.
I figured with cold air, I might as well go to the beach.
Yeah, I had a nice one. Yeah.
Oh, so what's everybody think of this stuff on the impeachment trial today?
You know,
Oh,
I've been busy. I haven't sat down in front of the TV at all today, actually.
Oh, I've been watching it for the past couple hours, and
Now, I recorded it, but I
Horrible.
didn't had an
they've been
opportunity to
showing a
watch
bunch of
it.
stuff that nobody's seen before.
What did you say, John?
They've been showing things that haven't been shown before, and it's very enlightening.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Some of it,
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe. In between
What?
my workshops, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's put it this way: we were very amazed that you were showing things and saying allowing words on the TV during the day. That,
Oh, yeah, right. They weren't bleeping anything.
yeah,
Oh, really?
Oh, it was not
Yeah.
good. It was not good.
They wanted everybody to get the
Get the
full
effect.
flavor of
Mhm.
what was said.
Yep.
Are you serious?
Yes, yes, yes.
If you didn't
Oh,
feel the
gee
effect of it on
whiz.
January 6th, you felt the effect of when you watched it today.
Yes, you did.
yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Those scenes were really dramatic, very dramatic.
Good evening,
Good
everyone.
evening, Miss
Good
Martin. How
evening,
are
everybody.
you?
Good evening.
Well, thank you. Good
evening.
evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Long. I saw you.
Good evening, everybody. I was saying good evening, but there were a lot of good evenings going on at the same time.
He's saying goodbye to Carson Wentz.
Oh, did Carson Wentz leave?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Did he leave?
No.
No? Oh.
Well, maybe.
Howie Roseman was holding him hostage.
Mr. Shaw, he went on. Somebody needs to speak so we can knock Mr. Shaw off on the page too. So I have to stare at that all meeting.
I said, man,
Excuse me, I go along with Mr. Shaw, so thank you.
Ooh,
Good evening, Miss Thomas. How are you?
Miss Peterson, I'm not foolish enough to take you on. I'll take Mr. Shaw on.
Miss McClendon?
Good evening, everyone.
good evening.
Brendan.
Miss McClendon, thank you for knocking Mr. Shaw off on the page too. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Shaw.
We can set that, keep him over there. Here he is again.
Blame it on the tech team.
I'm telling you what, they keep bringing him over to my side. I want him on the other side. Send him to the next.
Oh, no, we need to get him in between the two of us, Mr. Shaw.
Yes, we do.
Hey.
Good evening, Mr. Blake.
Mr.
evening.
Blake, how you doing?
Mr. Blake.
Hola, everyone.
Mr. Blake, how are you?
Blake.
It's a great day in Winslow Township.
Oh, I like that. Okay, I see everybody except it's 6:30. I don't see Dr. Poteet.
No.
Hmm.
I don't see Dr. Poteet either. I see Dr.
No.
Carcamo.
See Dr.
I see-
Carcamo.
Stredden twice.
yeah, it took me right out. I don't know what happened. I was just
I
looking.
see Mr. Davis.
No, I see Mr. Davis's name.
So did everybody enjoy our first day of parent-teacher conferences?
Good evening, Ms. Fitz. Dr. Poteet will be on shortly. He's having some technical issues.
Oh, I thought so.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Carcamo, since you're here,
Yes, Mrs.
that means that we can actually still start.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, board members, lights, camera,
Action.
action. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Administration, Mr. Long, welcome community who have joined us. Welcome to the Winslow Township Board of Education's regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, February 10th, 2021. Public notice of this meeting was given to all board members and associates. The notice is dated February 1st, 2021. Adequate and electronic notice of this public meeting has been provided specifying the time, place, and manner in which this meeting is being conducted. It was advertised in the Courier Post, posted in all schools, the administration office, the municipal building, the library, the Bud Dubel Center, Edgewood Acres, Elmtown, and the Winslow Township post offices. And this is our mission statement. Good evening, Dr. Poteet. The mission of the Winslow Township School District, a large, diverse, and growing community, is to educate all students to become independent, lifelong learners, critical thinkers, and caring and confident members of our community. The district, in partnership with the community and in the climate of cooperation and mutual respect, will provide an academic environment which values excellence and diversity, encourages students to strive for personal excellence, and assists them in acquiring the knowledge, skills, and attitudes necessary to contribute positively to a rapidly changing world. Roll call, please.
Mr. Blake,
Present.
Ms. Dredden,
Here.
Ms. Martin,
Present.
Ms. McClendon,
Present.
Ms. Moore. Ms. Moore,
Present.
thank you. Mr. Shaw,
Present.
Ms. Thomas,
Present.
Ms. Peterson,
Present.
and Ms. Pitts.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we all now join for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Shaw, would you please read out 2021 district goals, please?
Yes, Madam President. 2021 district goals. Number 1, student achievement. Continue to implement best practices for delivering instruction to students utilizing all available and appropriate instruction modes. This shall include A, ensuring articulation at all grade levels throughout the district. B, focus on classroom instruction at all grade levels. C, ensuring all students shall have equal access to equipment and resources needed to facilitate and promote student learning in any setting. D, evaluation and updating all district programs. E, accountability of all district staff. 2, continue to foster a positive school environment that is conducive to teaching and learning. A, focus on building relationships among staff that will result in increased learning and more effective instruction. B, promote creative instruction, training, and retraining. C, emphasis on collaboration with all district stakeholders. B, promote cultural competence throughout the district. E, teacher-to-student relationships. F, student-to-student relationships. 3, market our strengths and achievements to all stakeholders to increase capacity for greater parent caregiver community support. A, continue with our public relations marketing plan. B, continue to work with various advisory committees in the district. And C, examine communication methods utilized by the district.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Moving on, board members, page 2, awards and presentations. Dr. Poteet, awards and presentations at this time?
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, we do have a presentation this evening by Mr. Davis, Director of Human Resources. Mr. Davis, are you ready?
I am. Good evening, everyone. As the anti-bullying coordinator for the district today, pursuant to New Jersey Statute 18A 37-13 and New Jersey Administrative Code 6A 16-5.3, I'm here to report and seek approval for the Winslow Township School District school safety data, which includes information on the district's weapons, violence, vandalism, substance abuse, and harassment, intimidation, and bullying for the period of September 1, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. So as a result of us being remote thus far, there are no instances of weapons, violence, vandalism, or substance abuse for the district, if you're looking at your chart, board members. Also, schools number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 had 0 instances altogether. So at school number 6, there was 1 instance of HIB, which was confirmed. At our middle school, we had 1 confirmed HIB incident and 1 non-confirmed, for a total of 2 incidents. And at our high school, we had 1 confirmed incident of HIB. So district-wide, for the period of September 1, 2020 through December 31st, 2020, there were a total of 4 HIB incidents. Those were all the incidents that we had to report for this time period.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Davis. Board members, are there any questions for Mr. Davis as a result of his report? Mr. Davis, I just have a question.
Sure.
On the HIB, I see that there's 1 at school 6, 1 confirmed at middle school, and then 1 confirmed at high school. Could you just give us the background information on those 1 confirmed exactly, briefly?
Actually, that I don't have it. I can send that to you electronically, because usually each board meeting on the reports, you'll get it for the period. So this would have been something that you would have seen during that time period.
Okay.
I can email out to the board members tomorrow what the confirmed ones were again.
Okay. Thank you.
But each meeting I give you for that time period, so it would have been something that we saw between September 1 and December 30th.
Right.
So I can extract the confirmed ones and send it to you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
You're welcome.
Board members, on the motion to approve the report, the summary of the school safety data report as submitted by Mr. Davis for the period September 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020.
I make a motion to accept the information.
Moore, second.
It's been moved in second. I'm going to ask for a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you, board members.
Thank you.
Moving now, thank you, Mr. Davis. Moving now to correspondence. Would there be any correspondence to report out at this time?
None at this time, Madam President.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. Moving now to our minutes, I'm asking at this time for a motion to approve the board minutes of our meeting, our regular meeting, which was held January 27th, 2021, open session. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept the meeting minutes of the Board of Education regular meeting on January 27th, open session.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Moore. Would there be further questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Miss McClendon,
Yes.
Miss Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Miss Thomas,
Yes.
Miss Peterson,
Yes.
and Miss Pitts.
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Boyd. Moving now, board members, to our committee reports. Let's begin with our athletic committee. Mr. Shaw, would there be a report this evening from our athletic committee?
There is no report at this time, but we will have our next committee meeting on Thursday, February 18th at 5:30.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shaw. Would there be a report this evening out of our education committee?
No report, Madam President.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Would there be a report out of our equity equality committee at this time?
I don't have a written report, but we did meet on on Tuesday, February 2nd. But at our next board meeting, I will have a detailed report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Blake. Moving now to our marketing committee, would there be a report out of our marketing committee?
Madam President, there's no report. However, I do want to mention that our next meeting is scheduled for February the 23rd. We did make a time change due to a conflict in the schedule for one of our members, so our time frame has changed from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. that evening.
Okay.
Also, just a reminder, the community, we ask that you remember the 20th anniversary for Winslow that is coming up. We are still looking for any suggestions or ideas that you may have so that we can take a look at them and see, whether or not if it fits or if we can fit it into what we have planned for our 20th celebration.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ms. McClendon. Moving now, would there be any information update, Mr. Long, out of our negotiations committee? Okay.
Nothing that would be viable for public discussion, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Moving now, would there be a report out of our operations committee?
Madam President, not at this time, but we will be having a meeting on February the 24th on Tuesday at 5:30.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dredden. With regards to our policy committee, just briefly, the board should know that our policy committee did meet on January 28th, 2020. Members and present were board member Ms. Maureen Dredden, board member Ms. Cynthia Moore, Mr. Dion Davis, head of our Director of Human Resources, Dr. Carcamo, Assistant Superintendent, and Cheryl Pitts, myself. The policy committee held a virtual meeting to provide Mrs. Moore, our new member, with an overview of the purpose and responsibility of the committee. The key topics discussed were: 1, how policies are developed; 2, the procedures for policy review, updating, and adoption; 3, time requirement for adoption of policies; and number 4, the format used for presenting the policies to the board for discussion. There were no policies specifically presented for review at that time. However, Dr. Carcamo did advise the committee that there were several policies forthcoming that would need reviewing, as well as new mandated policies and policies recommended to be abolished. Ms. Moore was provided clarification as to why policies were not read aloud at a public meeting. It was explained that copies were available for individual community members to read on their own. Dr. Carcamo also shared that due to the length of some of our policies, it would not be possible to read them all and approve them within the time frame required for adoption. The meeting was concluded at approximately 4:30. Our next policy committee meeting is scheduled for the 4th Thursday in March, and the specific date and time will be given out at our next meeting. Any questions on that policy committee report? Thank you, board members. Hearing none. Moving now to the Citizens Advisory Committee report. At this time, I do believe, and Ms. Martin, you can kind of fill in my blanks if I leave any blanks. I do believe, of course, that we did receive today information from the Citizen Advisory Report advising us that Citizens Advisory Committee, advising us that they did meet on February 4th and that there was some discussion and that there were some viewpoints expressed. And what they have submitted to us are 4 questions. Now, we did, board members, just get this today. And what I'm saying to you and to the Citizens Advisory Committee is to allow us as a board the opportunity to take a look at these 4 recommendations. And at our next board meeting, if there's any comments or any questions with regards to the recommendations, they can be discussed at that time. What I would also ask administration to do in an effort to make sure that certainly our community is aware of the workings and the participation that the Citizen Advisory Committee is doing, I'm asking that there are 4 questions be posted on our website. I'm sorry, correction, that 3 of the 4 questions or 3 of the 4 recommendations be posted on our website so that our community could have an idea of the kinds of thoughts and concerns that come out of the Citizens Advisory Committee. As you note, they did submit 4 recommendations, and I've only said that 3 will be posted because number 3 recommendation that they have raised has actually been addressed by Dr. Poteet with regards to the way in which parents will be allowed to switch to and from the hybrid and the remote models as we look forward to our reopening on March 1st, and that was answered by Dr. Poteet already at our last meeting. So therefore, we're going to again ask the administration to post 3 of the recommendations given to us by the Citizen Advisory Committee on our website. Have I missed anything, Ms. Martin?
No, you have not.
Okay, and so the next Citizen Advisory Committee meeting, Ms. Martin, will be when?
March 3rd.
March 3rd?
I believe it is March 3rd. It's the first Thursday.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Martin.
You're welcome.
Moving now, board members, I am on page 2. I'm asking for a motion to approve the superintendent's report that begins at the middle of page 2 and goes over to the top of page 4. Is there a motion?
There is a motion to accept the superintendent's report.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Moore. Would there be further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. McClendon,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
and Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. Moving now, board members, I'm at the top of page 5. I'm asking for a motion to approve the Business Administrative Board Secretary's report that begins at the top of page 5 and continues through to the top of page 9. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept the Business Administrative Board Secretary's report.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Moore. Would there be further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. McClendon,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
and Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Bull. Moving now, board members. I'm asking for a motion to approve the personnel report that begins on page 9 and continues through to the bottom of page 10. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept the personnel report.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Moore. Would there be further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. McClendon,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson, and Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle.
Mhm.
We now, board members, to our addendum. Just going to give you just a few minutes, because I know we did receive this earlier, for those who may have not had the opportunity to read over it. Okay, board members, at this time, I'm asking to approve the superintendent report as it appears on our addendum. And it begins and ends on page 1. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept the superintendent's report in the addendum.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Moore. Further questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. McClendon,
Yes.
Ms. Moore, Ms. Moore. Thank you. Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
and Ms. Pitts.
Yes,
Motion has carried.
thank you. At this time, board members, I'm asking if there's any report out for the Open Public Records Act, Ms. Boyle?
No, but we have a lot in the wings.
Oh, okay. Something to look forward to.
Something to look forward to.
All right, thank you, Ms. Boyle. Board members, would there be any old business that you would care to discuss at this time?
Madam President, this is Mr. Blake.
Yes, Mr. Blake.
Yeah, I want to go back to the school uniforms. I know a few weeks ago or a few months ago, we discussed about relaxing the uniform policy, but I want to have a discussion about relaxing the uniform policy, for lack of better words. We have about, if we go back March 1st, it's a little less than 30 school days if we split the hybrid. So I know there are several people in the community that are having some concerns and issues with purchasing uniforms and may even have some difficulty finding uniforms. And I know district has set money aside for those people in the community that need support and resources, but it is a lengthy process. I know the community has to put the money out first before they get reimbursed. All I'm asking, if the board can reconsider relaxing the uniform policy for the school year 2021. And then in September of 2021, we can go back to wearing uniforms, if that's the pleasure of the board. So I wanted to kind of entertain that for a few minutes, if we could. What are your thoughts?
Mr. Blake, this is Miss Peterson. Are you saying relax it until June, the end of June 2021?
I'm saying until the last day of school, relax the uniform policy, make it optional. So if parents wanted to send their children with school uniforms, that would be their pleasure. But for those members, or I'm saying members, I'm sorry, for those people, those families who could not afford or may choose, do other things with their money, at least relax the policy. I mean, I'm not saying they come to school with ripped up jeans or torn shirts. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if they have on jeans or if they have on a shirt, is not the end of the world. We are in the middle of a pandemic. So, and I know there's people who don't have jobs right now, and uniforms may not be a major priority.
No, I was asking for clarification because you said the end of 2021 and then you went back to September. So I was just asking clarification. So
Okay, yeah. I was thinking for the last school year 20 to 21. And then in September 2021, let's pick up the uniforms back.
That's what I wanted clarification
Okay.
on.
Well, Mr. Blake, I'm glad you brought that up because that
Yeah.
was something that I brought to the board back in January when we were talking about possibly going back to school February the 1st. So I'm glad that, you're bringing this back up because that is still a concern for many parents with the purchasing of uniforms with so little time left in the rest of the school year. As you broke it down, about 30 days or more if you look at hybrid and remote. So I definitely would like the board to reconsider it as well, just till the end of this school year till June, as Ms. Peterson mentioned. And then come September, as we start the new school year, then we will go back to requiring school uniforms to be worn.
Hello, I would like to say something, Madam President.
Yes, Ms. Dredden.
Yes, we're talking, the children only have what, 2 days to go out of the week? Am I correct?
Correct.
Mhm.
All right. And I heard Mr. Blake said that the families he's basically talking about, they have no jobs. And if they have no jobs, they definitely should qualify for the funding that we have for them to help with uniforms. Because all it is a khaki pants and a shirt, and they still do have those.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dredden.
I think Mr. Blake's point is for those families that, if let's say they lost their job due to the pandemic, that they still have to put the money out first in order to qualify for our uniform assistance program. So that they're still under the financial hardship of putting out money first before they can even qualify for getting the money back. So I'm in agreement with Mr. Blake with relaxing the uniform policy because you still have spring break, you still have other holidays in there. And with 30-something days left of the school year, it just makes no sense to, I'm just with Mr. Blake. You're going in you're going to have kids that are only going to have long sleeve shirts and, and let's say like the Winslow gear like I have on for like half of that, and then you're going into summer clothes. So they're going to have khaki shorts on the other half. So you've got two sets of full uniforms that you're talking about kids wearing. So now you're talking about two sets of uniforms that you were talking about parents purchasing.
I'm not sure of your math, Mr. Shaw, and the way that you're counting, Mr. Blake, with regards to the amount of school days that we have left until June. But my counter says that we have more than just 30 days left to the school year. Now,
Ms. Pitts, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think what he means is because most children will only be in school 2 days a week.
I see. Okay, and that's
that way.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. That gives that coincides with Ms. Dredden's comment that they are only in school 2 days a week. And board members, we did go over this some time ago. It was decided that what we're trying to do is to make sure that we keep as much as normal as possible. Mr. Blake, Mr. Shaw, Ms. McClendon, the three of you, okay, may not have gone through the journey of the the uniforms that many of our board members have. And sometimes I would think that once you have a particular requirement in place, if you relax it, and then sometimes it's very difficult to get it back. Now, and if you're saying that there's only just 30 days left, then I think we would be well served if we just would keep things as they are. And I'm going to push this over to Dr. Poteet to ask again for his opinion on that.
Mrs. Pitts, members of the board, as far as I'm concerned, it's a board policy, whatever the board decides, and, the administration will implement it. So at this point, it's whatever the board decides.
Madam President, I do have a question.
Yes.
I know at one point in time, Ms. Redden I believe Ms. Redden was you that gave us a report as far as how many people have asked for assistance and how many actually have been cleared and received assistance. And I think the last time you said that there may have been, I think, 2 people, but the applications were still there. And to me, that speaks volume. That means that there's something that is required in the process that doesn't allow people to take it fully through, whether it's finances to be able to put the money out early, to be able to come back with the receipts, or maybe the information that is being requested in order to receive the financial assistance. So I don't know if that's changed, if you have updates on numbers, but if you could share that, that would be helpful.
Madam President?
Yes, Mr. Redden.
Yes, I'd like to speak. Yes, it was only 2 that was qualified, and I think 1 was still being addressed. But what I'm trying to say is, I believe Ms. McCoy has said something about it was something that where they couldn't come up with the money at the moment or at the time, was something that maybe they could do, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure she did say they still could come and put in for it, but if they had the time of not coming up with the money first, I think it's something that that can be done.
And I do recall that, Mr. Redden. And so, to your point, Mr. Blake, to your point, Mr. Shaw, you've just heard Mr. Redden say, if indeed, certainly that there are community members out there, parents, who may not be able to follow along the steps that we have set out previously with regards to reimburse. And Ms. Boyle, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Just repeating what Ms. Redden said, we can actually come to an agreement with those parents. Just contact Ms. Boyle. Did you want to comment on that?
Yes, Madam President, and we have done it in the past. I believe it's 2 families put in. They just never completed the application. They didn't bring in receipts. So I don't know if they started the process and then just didn't complete it. Maybe because the students are not in school, the parents aren't taking advantage of the what's available to them. In certain cases, we have worked very closely with the parents to make sure that they can get the uniforms. We weren't placing a hardship on them. We've done everything short of put them in the car and drive up to the store, pick them out. So we do. So I think the deterrent is they're not here to use them, so they didn't complete the process.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boyle. But so I think board members, it would be good for us to make sure that we let the community know that certainly as a district, we are open to assist any and all parents who need any kind of financial help with regards to making sure that their children are dressed in accordance with our uniform policy.
Madam President, I believe that it may also just be a sense of pride, because I know there are a lot of parents out there that's struggling, that don't have it. But I mean, if we can actually put ourselves in their shoes, sometimes it's hard to go to somebody and say you need funding to put clothes on your kid's back. It's not an easy thing for someone to come and try to take money from, a financial assistance, to have to come and put in paperwork. Which one is a paper trail? That's another thing that shows that you needed financial assistance. And sometimes pride gets in the way. And that's probably why we don't have an overwhelming amount of people coming, And also, again, as Ms. Boyle stated, there is applications that are still pending that was put in a while ago, and people haven't been able to come back or haven't come back to collect for whatever reason. So, I think we need to consider that as well, just as people, that pride steps in as well. And sometimes that can keep people from coming, even though there's a need. But sometimes pride stops that. So, we need to consider that as well. And, I ask the board, just think about it, especially those of us that have kids. So.
Okay, Ms. McClendon, we will think about it, but I want you to know as well, all board members, that with regards to stepping forward, all this information is being kept confidential. And so, to your point, Ms. McClendon, we will consider it, but for now, our policy remains as it is. Okay. Moving now, board members, would there be any new business that you would care to discuss at this time?
Madam President, Ms. Martin?
Yes, Ms. Martin.
I have some information to share with the board this evening, if I may. On Friday, February 7th, I think it was, I attended the New Jersey School Board's directors meeting, and there were several takeaways. And if I could, I would just like to briefly mention, not specifically go into detail unless I'm asked. They gave the New Jersey School Boards Association Special Report Series Eye on the Future as districts monitor student mental health, Sustainable Jersey for Schools Digital Schools Program, the virtual weekend new board member orientation, and the advocacy update was the New Jersey School Board's sample resolution on giving educators priority for COVID vaccines. And I'd like to stop there because there are several school boards who are currently signing the resolution. And if I may, I would like to take a moment to read the resolution to see if it's something that our board would consider, if I may.
Yes, Ms. Martin, please do.
Okay, sample resolution provided for boards to request educators to be given priority for vaccines. Whereas public schools have a profound impact on millions of students, families, and staff, and are charged with care, education, nourishment of their students, and are an integral part of the health and safety of our communities. Whereas the COVID-19 vaccination plan published by the State of New Jersey Department of Health, December 15, 2020, pages 36 and 37, prioritizes the availability of vaccines to essential workers in phase 1B of the vaccine protocol. And whereas school district staff at all levels are essential to the day-to-day operations of this district, responsible for the thorough and efficient education of all students and their social and emotional well-being, are critical for virtual and in-class instruction and are essential workers. Now, therefore, be it resolved that blank, being Winslow Township Board of Education, finds a substantial public purpose exists to request that Governor Murphy give the appropriate priority in the state administration of the COVID-19 vaccine to all public school district personnel. That is a sample copy of the resolution. So I would like to know if the board would entertain accepting that resolution and forwarding it to, I believe, Governor Murphy.
Mrs. Pitts, can I make a motion that we accept that resolution?
Please do, Mr. Shaw.
I make a motion that we accept Ms. Martin's resolution from the Board of Directors meeting to send that sign and send that resolution to Governor Murphy for our educators and all of district employees to get for the vaccine.
Is there a second?
Peterson, second.
Moved by Mr. Shaw that we as a Winslow Township Board of Education recognize and accept the terms and conditions stated in the resolution. And Mr. Shaw has put forth the motion, and second by Ms. Peterson. Would there be further comments or questions before I ask for a vote?
Just one question. Does that resolution have to be signed by all board members? Or does it suffice just the president of the board?
It does not say, Ms. Peterson, but I can check.
Well, let me ask our legal.
It doesn't have to be signed by everyone.
It doesn't have to be. Did you hear Mr. Peterson, Ms. Peterson?
So it's going to be signed by the president of the board. Am I assuming that to be correct?
Yeah, and then normally, Mrs. Boyle would indicate that it's was duly adopted at the meeting of February 10th, blah, 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 and ship it in. Usually it provides some direction as to where it should go. We've done those in the past.
Yes, we have. Any further questions? Okay. The motion has again been made by Mr. Shaw and second by Ms. Peterson with clarification. Are we ready to call for a roll call? Okay, Ms. Boyle, roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. McClendon,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
and Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle, and thank you, board members. Would there be any further new businesses that we would care to discuss at this time?
Madam President, I do. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to talk about it. After Dr. Poteet's update or before the update, I wanted to discuss the reopening of schools.
Okay, we absolutely can do that. I would suggest that we wait for for Dr. Poteet's update because some questions very well may be answered.
Okay, then I'll wait and hold my comment until then.
Okay, fine. Thank you, Mr. Blake. Board members, I would just like to mention to you that several of us did attend a National School Board Association's symposium this afternoon. I believe it was Ms. Peterson and also Ms. Kelly and myself. And the symposium was on equity and it was excellent. And I'll just say this, that the keynote speaker, whose name was Dr. Brandon P. Fleming, was extraordinary in his presentation. And if you get an opportunity, he is an educator, and he briefly told us how he went practically from a street thug to surviving a suicide attempt to now being a Harvard educator. And his story is compelling and is interesting. And he left us with some quotes. For instance, he said, young people can't be what they don't see. And in addition to that, he asked and charged all board members and educators to, as he puts it, ask the right questions of many of our students who may be marginal, who may be a minority, who may be kind of what we may feel as children who are struggling. So again, I could go on, but again, his name is Dr. Brandon Fleming, and I encourage you to read his book. It's called the title is the Miseducated, a memoir. So that completes any additional information, new information that I may have. So board members, can we move on to informational items? Dr. Poteet?
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, I do have several information items for this evening. I will start as I normally do with the COVID update for Camden County. We have in Camden County 93 new cases today, bringing that total to 37,552. Winslow Township had 11 new cases, bringing that total to 2,830. The positivity rate in Camden County is 8%. Unfortunately, today, an individual tested positive for COVID-19 as a member of the Winslow Township Middle School boys basketball team. Therefore, the boys basketball team is now on quarantine for 14 days. Today, we also had an Genesis software malfunction. Genesis was down for an hour or so, but is back up and running. So I wanted to make mention of that because today started parent conferences, and tomorrow is also the second day of parent conferences. And of course, there is early dismissal for our students. Next Monday, March the 15th is President's Day. All schools are closed, and that will, of course, there will not be a meeting with the Real Talk with the superintendent. The New Jersey Student Learning Assessment will be administered in person and remotely. That question was asked of me in one of our prior meetings about whether or not the state assessment will be given. We received information latter part of last week that the state assessment will be given. It will be given remotely as well as in person. We do not have any specifics at this time. However, that test will begin March 15th through June the 11th. We as the district have not set our schedule yet, but one thing is certain, that the students who will be taking the test must be on camera so that we can make sure, of course, for security reasons, and to make sure that that student is in fact taking the test so that the teacher can monitor him or her. We will receive additional information eventually from the state, but that's the length of the information we have thus far that the test will be given.
Excuse me, Dr. Petit, I want to ask you, has there been any discussion about the governor possibly asking for us to not have to have the assessments this year like many other states have done?
That has not filtered down to us. The information we have, of course, comes through the governor's office, through the New Jersey Department of Education. I am aware that some governors are asking for that, but at this time, Governor Murphy has not, and if he has, it has not reached us at this point because the information we received was Thursday or Friday of last week.
Okay, so, thank you.
If that will occur, then hopefully that will get to us as soon as possible. I'd like to give you an update on the HVAC work in the district. We are 99% complete. We only have 14 classrooms throughout the entire district that need motors. School 2 has 2 rooms. School 4 has 4 rooms. The middle school has 5 rooms. The high school has 3 rooms. As you can recall, that is a significant fewer numbers than we had in the past. We've also received information from CM3 that they have 5 additional motors in district this week, and hopefully that number 14 will be down to 9 by the end of this week. All air purifiers have been installed in all of our unit ventilators, and CM3 will provide the district with a recommission letter stating that the schools are safe for return. I'm expecting to receive that letter by the end of next week. Core mechanical. If you can recall, we had a few callers interested in pneumatic systems in the school district and who was taking care of that work. Core Management Incorporating has completed all the pneumatic work in our systems as far as HVACs, and at this point, we will be ready to open schools on March 1st because all of that work has been completed. Those classrooms that do not have a motor, we will not use those classrooms, and the building principals have already made adjustments in the event those classrooms are not ready. Our class list for each school is being finalized for our hybrid model of instruction. And those parents will be receiving information from the building principal and the Department of Transportation by the end of next week. We have approximately 1,303 students participating in our hybrid model. The next issue I'd like to discuss, because even as we speak, we are in a threat of snow for this evening into tomorrow. And of course, I've had an opportunity to talk to some parents about snow days. And of course, some parents don't believe that because we're in full remote should even have snow days because we're in full remote. So I've listened to both sides of the argument, as we've always done. And one of the things over the years we have learned that our community has always been concerned about spring break and not using spring break days if possible. So what I've done, as you can recall, this past Monday, was to declare an early dismissal day for our students. The early dismissal day, of course, gave us the opportunity to get full credit for the day, which means we didn't have to make it up. And it also gave those families on the other side of the coin an opportunity to either to break that stigma, as they stated, the children not having snow days, being in front of their computer. It gave those families an opportunity to spend time with their children. They want to go out sledding or whatever the situation may be. That early dismissal gave them the opportunity to do so. So at this point, if you consider we've already had 3 snow days, and if we had taken those days and made them full snow days, 3 days of our spring break would have already been used, and we only have 2. And with the coming snow, and I'm almost certain we're going to get more snow the rest of the year, we have a potential of eliminating all of our spring break days because that's what we have agreed to use those days in the event for makeup days. So at this point, that is the position I've taken. And with the snow coming tonight, possibly into tomorrow, I'll make that decision early in the morning so that parents and staff will know what direction we're going for tomorrow. I've also.
Doc, can I just interrupt you? Because I just want to compliment you on taking both sides of the parents and working with them and using the snow day on Monday and giving the kids a half a day in the district so that way they can use it to get away from the computers a little bit. So just great job with that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Shaw. I appreciate it. We are always going to try, because I'm under the impression, as you all know, that this spring break, by the time we get there, we're going to really need it. And hopefully the environment is such that we'll be able to do more. The governor has relaxed some of the restrictions, and you might be able to do a little more with your spring break. You might even be able to travel. But at this point, I am trying to reserve those spring break days as much as we possibly can without having to make up snow days and without jeopardizing the educational program for our young people. So again, thank you for your support, but I am cognizant of what's happening in the homes and looking out for our children and staff and trying to do what we can in the best interest of everyone. With that being said, I receive emails from parents and, of course, the Citizens Advisory Committee on recommendations about opening of school, as Mr. Blake had indicated for discussion. I'm always getting some information, emails, calls about what we should be doing. And I want the parents to know that we read those emails, we read the information that is sent to us, and we do take those recommendations into consideration. So we just want you to know that we don't just toss them away. We try to respond to everyone to let them know we received that information, but they are taken into consideration. Which brings me to the one email that all of the board members, as well as myself, received last week in reference to, I think it was Mrs. Jackson mentioned that the school district should consider a social emotional learning day, if you can recall receiving that. And I did respond to them and tell them we would have some discussion. I'm not asking the board for discussion tonight. However, when you do decide, maybe at the next board meeting, there are a couple things I'd like for you to consider. One, if you consider having a social emotional learning day, that day, of course, has to be approved by the New Jersey Department of Education. Just like when we have a snow day, I have to submit to the state a renewed calendar, because any day that's not a full instructional day must be made up. So in order for you to have, let's say, for example, social emotional day, if it's not considered a day for academics, then therefore you have to get state approval. And if you do get approval, you still have to make up that day. Making up the day means either during spring break or extending the school year. So when you decide to have that conversation, I wanted to make sure that you did have that information, so that you know that whatever we decide to do, that day at some point will have to be made up under the state guidelines. We also get emails, of course. Board members get emails from parents in reference to their concerns. Many of you will send those emails to me, and I will advise you accordingly, or in some cases respond. I got an email this week in reference to a parent asking questions about a building level concerns. And whenever there are building level concerns, I think the parent wanted to know that their child, 8th period study hall, where will their child have to go? Will the school hours remain the same? You know, those kinds of questions. I want the community to know that those are building level questions. And I want to encourage parents, particularly as we get closer to March the 1st, if you have any questions about building level concerns, day-to-day operations, any type of questions, please call the building principals first, because you can get an immediate response as opposed to sending a question in, let's say, last Thursday, and wait until Wednesday board meeting for a response, whereby I would also be asking you, please call the building principal. So I'm encouraging parents, and I know all of board members as well as myself receive questions, but it will be best responded to if you would direct your questions to the building principals at this time. I would like to mention that Mr. Michael Duhaney, our choral director at Winslow Township High School, shared with us that 6 of his students will be participating in the South Jersey course. They will be members of the 2020 South Jersey course, and he gave us the names of those individuals. I would like to congratulate them publicly. We've already posted this information on our website and on our Facebook page. So the 2021 South Jersey course members are as follow: Jayla Berry, Kazika Awa, Sarah Simmons, Jalen Mitchell, Gavin Shazier, and Tiffany Stringfield. Those 6 individuals are now members of the 2021 South Jersey course, and I would like to publicly congratulate those young people for their achievement and representing Winslow Township High School. Last but not least, I want to give you an update on our attendance. The attendance officer shared with me that they delivered 98 letters this week to parents, as well as letters were mailed and phone calls were made to those individuals in reference to attendance matters. Attendance is something that we deal with on a regular basis, an ongoing basis at this point. So just to let you know that process is ongoing. We continue to meet with those parents and have this, not meet with them, have discussions with those parents. And these 98 letters are new. These are not the same ones that we discussed in previous meetings. So the attendance protocols are all being followed. We are still making those house calls in reference to that particular situation. That concludes my information items for this evening, Madam President, and I will answer any questions the board may have at this time.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Peterson?
Yes, my question is just to check. I know that it's been extensive work done on the school's HVAC system and ventilation. Trying to keep count of how much money was spent. It says $651,000.
I think it's a little more than that. I'm going to ask Mrs. Boyle because I know we spent over $450,000 just on the HVAC system work itself. That did not include the air purifiers, and it does not include the work we just had completed on the pneumatic systems. Mrs. Boyle, would you be able to give me just a rough estimate on how much we've spent thus far in repairing our HVAC systems?
So the HVAC, the recommissioning, I believe it started out with the report, and you were correct, Doc, it started out around the 200 to 250, I think was the approved amount. And then as they got in and found more machines and whatnot, I think we're up in the 450.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, that's, and of course, I'm pulling this off my head.
Yes.
The bipolar ionization, all of those units being installed in the unit ventilators throughout the district and the air handlers. Bipolar ionization was about 600, maybe 650, around that vicinity. The pneumatics, that sounded much worse than it was, but especially words that start with a P that say pneumatics, they just sound worse. That cost came in under $5,000. And so that was basically really a maintenance issue. So,
right. So Ms. Peterson, we've spent over $1 million
yes,
in repairs for our HVAC systems.
And that's what I was trying to figure out. And I don't know of too many districts that have spent that kind of money or have done that much repair. I think our oldest school might have been built in 1946. Am I correct? Or maybe I'm wrong on that date.
The high school is our oldest school. And those systems are 60 years old. Some of them are 60 years old because we have replaced some of them. But keep in mind, members of the board, the HVAC systems at the high school are scheduled to be replaced this summer, which means that we will have heat and air conditioning at the high school once that job is completed. We are anticipating that it will be completed by the end of the summer. At least we hope so. And that's at least our first building will be fully air conditioned, along with School 3, parts of the middle school, and all of the elementary schools. Gyms and multi-purpose rooms are air conditioning, but the process is going to be somewhat drawn out because it is very expensive, and we're doing it with our operating budgets, which means that we can only do 1, 2, 3 schools at a time as we go through the planning process. So we'll start with the high school. It is the oldest of the systems. It's the largest, and then we'll move possibly based on our planning schools 5 and 6 because they have the second floors. We'll look at that. But again, we have not attached a dollar figure to those schools in that work because that is part of our long range plan. I mentioned all of that so you'll know that we are addressing the issues in all of the schools. And the high school is the oldest. And then, of course, schools 1 and 2, they're the next oldest. Then 3, 4, and so on and so forth. But yes, we have put a lot of money into our systems just to get them where they are. Now, the air purifiers, board members, wasn't something that was a part of the commission, but it's something that we recommended to the board to have done as an additional layer of purification. And those air purifiers, according to our architects, within 10-15 minutes of the systems coming on, let's say from day to night, so in the mornings around 5-6 o'clock when they kick back on, within 15 minutes the air in the classrooms are being cleaned and purified for as long as those systems are running. We also did the rooftop units as well as all of the classrooms. So at this point, we've done an extensive amount of work to make sure that our buildings were safe for reopening.
Dr.
And
Poteet, I have a question.
the reason why I stated, I want to let people know that this district could not have done it without being fiscally prudent with all their spending and having a long range plan, because 1 point something million doesn't fall. And we have not had a referendum to raise the taxes in Winslow since I've been here. So I just wanted to thank the board, the members that serve on that fiscal planning committee for being very prudent with our money so that we could afford that. Because when you add 1 point something million and we spent 600,000 on textbook purchases, that's a lot of money that most districts do not have.
Yes, Ms. Peterson, you're right. We applaud the business office as well as our curriculum department, the leadership team, along with our administrators. We have to work together in order to have those monies available. And yes, we did not plan to have to spend over $1 million this year for what situation we found ourselves in, but it was a necessary need, and we were able to do that. So at this point, Mr. Blake, I think you had a question.
Wait, excuse me, Dr. Poteet, just for clarification from Ms. Peterson, yes. With regards to the age of the building, our high school, of course, is the oldest building, and it was built in 1958.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Blake?
Can I ask a question before Mr. Blake goes to the next one? It's just about what was just said with the funding, Madam President, Mr.
Yes.
Blake, if that's okay.
Yes.
Ms. Boyle or Dr. Poteet, so with the additional funding that we put out for it, where exactly did the money come from? And also, will that cause us to have a lack of funding somewhere else? Like, is that putting us in the red somewhere else where money was pulled from to cover those? Okay.
No, Mrs. McClendon, and Mrs. Boyle, of course, can give you the particulars. But over the years, we have been prudent. As you well know, we've been doing something every summer for probably the past 9-10 years. So we do have a maintenance reserve, capital reserve and things like that. And yes, Mrs. Boyle do have to shift money around because it wasn't money that we had planned to spend. So Mrs. Boyle, if you wanted to give us any particulars about how that was done, but yes, we do have to move money around when we have large ticket items such as this.
Not only do we have to move the money around, you have to have the money first off, and you have to get approval to pull it out. When you, historically at the end of a year, we put on the agenda, we'll ask the board to put certain money away into required maintenance. That's one of the reserves that we have. And the board approves it. We put a little money away. There's a cap on the amount that we can put away. And then in cases like this, it's totally unpredicted. I could not possibly pull money out of an operating budget, take a budget for the year to operate the school. You couldn't rip $1 million out and divert it to someplace else. We had reserves. We made we requested the approval to withdraw those monies for the reserves, specifically for those projects. If they came in less, it has to go back to the reserve. So you're really limiting the use of that money when you put it away. But thank goodness we did.
So academically, Mrs. McClendon, no, we did not take anything from our academic programs, day-to-day operation programs, anything like that. So no, it did not hamper or we had to rob Peter to pay Paul. No, that was not the situation. But being able to move those monies around under, of course, the direction of Mrs. Bull, we've been able to do this. Hopefully next year we don't have to do it again or for any other reason, because it does at some point take a toll. So down the road, we still look like we're in pretty good shape to be able to set our budgets up for next year and move forward and still have monies for some projects. Because, for example, the high school project money was already set aside in last year's budget. So we're in good shape to move forward.
Okay, well, awesome job, Ms. Boyle and your team for having that cushion, because not knowing that we would have to put out that much money at this time, but are able to do it and still stay in the green is an awesome thing. So I commend you for a job well done with that.
Mr. Blake?
I wanted to say, Mr. Boyd, thank you. I appreciate that, because when you don't have any money and money's funny and change is strange, a lot can go wrong. But this question is for Dr. Poteet. Do you have a breakdown of how many students are going to be at school on which particular cohorts? For example, how many kids signed up for hybrid at school number 1 for cohort A, B, same thing with 2 through the high school? I'm just curious to know, because
yes, Mr. Blake, let me find my notes.
Okay.
Yes, I do have that information available. At school number 1, we have 108 students. At school number 2, 139 students. At school 3, 132 students. School 4, 194 students. School 5, 168. School 6, 139. The middle school, 194. The high school, 229, for a total of 1,303 students. I can't give you what days, students are coming in or anything like that, but that's pretty much where we are. The principals have taken the time to put those class lists together, and, we're working with our parents, and that's why at this point, I want to make sure the parents are communicating with the building principals, because we don't have numbers by cohort at this point. So we're at the point now where the building principals can be more specific with any responses, but that's where we are. And I think at this point, within the week, parents will receive information so we can prepare to move forward.
So just a question about day-to-day. So say I teach high school math, and I have 3 students that show up on that particular cohort in that particular section of the day. So I'm teaching those 3 students in class, as well as the 10 that's home, right? At the same time?
Yes.
Okay. So the teacher will sit at the desk like the teacher would be at home during instruction, right? While the other students that are that are in hybrid will bring their device to school. Like, I'm just trying to figure out what the day-to-day looks like.
Well, I don't want to be facetious, but I would be, if you had asked me that question, I'd say, well, Mr. Blake, you need to call Mr. Morella.
Okay.
Call the building principal. He can give you the specifics. And see, those are the kinds of questions the building principals can give you the specifics. However, yes, the classroom teacher will have that option. I am not saying that the classroom teachers cannot ask the children to bring their devices. That will be their option. We're not trying to mandate everything down to the letter. We do have that flexibility to give the teachers the option of how they want to function in that classroom. So, we're gonna do what we can, but we do want our teachers to have that flexibility, Mr. Blake, to, say you need to bring your devices in today, or you need to bring them in this week, or you're not going to need them today, whatever it may be. As a classroom teacher, I want the teachers through the building principals to have that flexibility to make those decisions, just like in any other situation, because I don't want anyone to think that we are taking that away from students. Because if you ask me this question and we're not even in this pandemic, I couldn't tell you specifically what all those teachers are doing in each classroom, because we want to give them the autonomy to make those calls. Okay, Mr. Blake?
Yeah, I have some more questions, but I'll let some other people ask.
Well, if there's the other people on asking board members, we're going to move to public
I
comments.
do have a comment.
Yes, Ms. Peterson.
Just doing the figures. We have 4,700 plus students, not that many, over. Am I correct, Dr. Poteet?
Yes, yes, you're right.
And with 1,303, you're looking at more than about 35% of your school coming back, or maybe not quite, about 28% coming back.
Possibly. If you've done the math, I'll agree with you.
So
it's about 25%. Look at the numbers, and I'm just doing whole numbers off the top of my head.
Right.
Yes, you're right.
And that's good. That's a good number of responses.
Yes, it is, and it will give us an opportunity to work through the process. If there are any situations that we need to correct, improve, change, this will give us an opportunity to do that with these smaller numbers. I think since this is our first opportunity since last March, there will be some things that we may have to modify. But since our teachers are coming in a week prior to the students coming in, that also gives us an opportunity to work with the teachers and work out whatever situations that we presently have. But I think these are definitely workable numbers to at least get us up and running.
Thank you.
So,
do you happen to have the number of
staff?
Say special education. I wanted to ask about special education students who will be going 4 days per week. Do you have that number?
The building principals have that number, Mrs. Moore, and that's again one of those questions. If you call any particular principal, they'll be able to say this is the number of students we have in that particular category. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I do. Since no one else has questions, I do have some more questions. Like I get the March 1st, I kind of get the March 1st, like let's open up March 1st. But I feel like because it's only 30% going to school, I feel like the board, I think we might want to kind of consider not going back until after spring break. That way, whatever classrooms need to be fixed, hopefully it'll be fixed by spring break-ish. But still enough time that kinks could be worked out for the fall. I mean, what do you guys think?
So,
are you saying this, Mr. Blake, from perspective of numbers, or are you saying it from perspective of cost savings? Like when you say that,
safety concerns, cost, and numbers. Like all three of those play a part.
Well, Mr. Blake, did you want me to respond?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because at this point, the final decision, of course, is the board. And the board made the decision last month that we will open schools on March the 1st. There is really no cost savings. And for those 1,300 parents who want their children in school, the state has made it very clear to us that they want the schools open. And those 1,300 kids whose parents want their children in school, the district has an obligation to those parents, just like everyone else. We said that we were going to provide. As a matter of fact, if we had half that amount, the state would approve that amount going into school. As long as schools are open. As a matter of fact, there are a couple of my colleagues who only had special education children going in, and that was a far smaller amount than we're talking about now. But that was more than sufficient because the state is saying to us they want children in the schools to receive that face-to-face instruction. And at this point, 1,300 students, I think, is more than a viable amount. And I think for those parents who are ready to send their children to school for face-to-face instruction, we owe them that. We have that responsibility, and we owe that to them. So at this point, I don't want to get into a numbers game at this point, but I think 1,300 students is more than enough children for the district to move forward.
Dr. Poteet.
Yes, sir.
at this point, we have a number of districts around us that are open, and I'm still fine with March 1st opening up. But what's the percentage of staff that's coming back?
Well, at this point, every staff member, other than those who have submitted to us their medical information that has been approved by the board, then I would say, just based on numbers, 98% of the staff are expected to return on March 1st, and it's probably higher than that.
Okay.
Because we have just a handful of teachers who have submitted the paperwork for approval thus far. But at this point, I would say about 98, 99% of the teachers are expected to return.
Okay, if there's no more questions, board members.
Mr. Pitts, I just have one thing.
Yes, Mr. Shaw.
Tonight we approved a videographer for athletic events. So
Yes.
I just want the community to watch out for live streaming athletic events, like our basketball and any other indoor events that we may be hosting it'll be posted on our YouTube stream. So subscribe to our YouTube channel so that way you can watch our boys and girls basketball teams and other athletic indoor events right now. So that way, you can, cheer on our young men and women in our
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Ms. Pitts,
Yes, Mr. Blake.
I feel like we're just talking too much today, but I just have a lot of concerns about teachers going back into buildings not vaccinated. I know teachers are scared. I'm scared for them. I know students haven't been vaccinated because they're too young to be vaccinated if you're 16 and under. And I know the numbers are like fluctuating up and down, but I just want to go on record that I don't feel comfortable with this. I would like the board to at least reconsider students and staff going back at least until after spring break. I hear you. The numbers are pretty small, but I'm a little apprehensive. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm not no punk, but I am a little concerned. That's all I want. I just wanted to put that out there. And my other comment that I wanted to say as far as hybrid is concerned, I know in the plan, if students start with hybrid, they have to stay with hybrid. But I would like to know, Dr. Poteet, if a parent feels uncomfortable for whatever reason and their student is in hybrid, can they jump back to remote? Now, I understand the remote to hybrid, that would be a lot because that would throw the numbers off. But from hybrid to remote, can that be an option?
Well, we do have an option, but we have times when that can be done. We don't want people just jumping in and out, making that change before the end of the marking period. We did that because we wanted to make sure that the teachers weren't in a situation where they have a clerical nightmare of trying to keep track of who's coming in and who's leaving. But at this point, Mr. Blake, I think once we get started, we should be able to work through the process. But I am asking the board that once we get started, that we maintain the process we have in place whereby a student can either enter or exit at the end of the marking period. That way we are consistent, everybody know what the procedures are, and let's leave things in place until once we get started and get to rolling. So I'm not recommending any changes in what we already have in place at this time.
I want to clarify. I'm saying, like, I'm sending my two children to school. I, for whatever reason, feel uncomfortable at that particular moment. I feel like as a parent, without getting in trouble with the attendance, I should be able to pull my kid out and have them attend remote. And I wanted to know, is that an option? I'm not saying like I'm remote this week and hybrid the next. I'm not saying that. Once you're in remote, you're remote until the end of the market period. I definitely understand that, but I just feel like for attendance purposes,
yes,
it might get a little sticky.
Mr. Blake, let me say this to you. As a parent, if you decide to take your children out of the school district I can't make you send them back. I'm not sure at this point how we are going to address that. We have not, of course, had that situation, but as a parent, it is your responsibility. I don't want to say that we're going to mark them absent or they can't go remote. We're just hoping that we have the cooperation, because we're looking at March and you can make that decision. We're looking at what, 4 weeks? And if the parents would at least, stay within that process for that 4-week time frame, because March 29th, parents should let us know whether or not their children are going to stay or whether they're going to leave or vice versa. So at this point, rather than not be able to give you a direct answer, we'll cross the bridge when we come to it, but I'm hoping that the parents who have decided to stay hybrid, who have selected hybrid, will stay hybrid for that 4-week time frame, and then of course make that decision at the appropriate time. So I'm asking everyone at this point to stick within the procedures we have in place, so that we can, try to accommodate everybody accordingly.
I have a quick point of information. Just, something off of what we were just talking about. But board members, have all of you liked our school Facebook page, Winslow Township Schools Facebook?
Of course.
Okay. Dr. Poteet touched on something. Also, Mr. Shaw, Dr. Poteet mentioned that we had recently just posted about our students selected for the 2021 course, South Jersey course. We're going to tie that into also with the live streaming when that starts happening. A couple things we've already pushed out. If you haven't noticed, we did put up about Miss Wanguma in our middle school with the Green Award. We also pushed out Miss Tagmeyer and the high school students asking to speak at the Climate Summit. One of the things that we did do last week, if you didn't know, last week was National School Counselor Week. So we did give a shout out to our school counselors and the wonderful job that they have been doing. So again, over the next board meetings, you probably hear me keep saying this: like our page, follow our page, share our page. And that's what's been happening. People have been starting to share some of the accolades and stuff that we've been pushing out. So board members, I'm going to look to see if y'all liked our page.
I did.
But yeah, keep doing that.
Mrs. McClinton, would you also share with them the revision of the frequently asked questions?
Yes. We've also revised our frequent asked questions. If you haven't had a chance to look at our, especially our school board website, we've also did it in Spanish as well. So that's a huge accomplishment, because I know that the community has been asking for it to be put in Spanish. So kudos, shout out to Dr. Poteet for making that happen under our time constraint timeline. He made it happen. So that's another thing that's out there as well. I just noticed that the Title I meeting has been pushed out to our Facebook page as well. So there's a lot of things coming through the Facebook page. So if you are not on board, I would suggest that you get on board and like us, so that you don't miss any great things that are happening in our school district. And that's it.
Thank you, Madam Broadcaster. Thank you. So board members, at this time, we're going to move into public comments. The Winslow Township Board of Education highly values the input of citizens in making important decisions that affect the children of our community. We also believe in the rights of citizens to observe our board meetings, to ensure that all our citizens have the opportunity to join us in our school board meetings and offer comment, and to ensure that the board can conduct the important business of the district. We ask that speakers follow these guidelines for making public comments. The board president and board secretary will recognize those individuals in the audience who wish to make comment. Please respect these following procedures. Number one, all members of the public who join us, call into our school board meetings, must treat each other and the board with respect. Number two, when you do, kindly state your full name and address. Number three, Please limit your comments to 4 minutes. Number 4, please submit your questions to the Board of Education with your name, address, and telephone number where you can be contacted. Your questions, if we are not answered during our public comment, will be answered within a reasonable amount of time. And number 5, individuals offering citizen comment are not permitted to make personal attacks on any district employee, board member, other testifier, or member of the public. So therefore, at this time, board members, I'm asking for a motion to approve our moving this meeting into our public comment portion. Is there a motion?
Yes. I make a motion to open up public comments.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Moore, that we open our meeting to public comment. And I'm asking for a voice vote on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you, board members. Ms. Boyle, we're now into our public comment.
Thank you, Madam President. The line is ringing, so I'm going to pick up.
Okay.
Good evening. You might want to turn down your device. You've joined us for the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address, and then you can make your comment to the board. Hold on one second, caller. Hold on one second, caller. I want to make sure they can hear you.
Orlando Drive, Sicklerville, New Jersey, and Wyndham Hill.
Caller, hold on one second. There we go. All right, caller, could you state your name and address again, please?
Sharon McTaggart, 17 Orlando Drive, Sicklerville, New Jersey, Wyndham Hill.
Okay. Board members, can you hear the caller?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They're nodding. Go ahead, make your comment, Ms. McTaggart.
Okay. My comment is, in speaking with some of the parents in the district, our concern is in the spring months when it gets hot. I've been in the district since 2004, school 3, middle school, school number 6. And it's been very hot in the classroom. So how will you address the concerns with less ventilation in certain classrooms?
At this time,
Eliminating those classrooms that have less ventilation.
well, at this time, the classrooms, depending on the weather, of course, during the spring, the teachers can pull their windows up. Yes, we do know that during the summer months, latter part of May, maybe early June, it does get hot. The only solution that I can give you at this point would be, at some point, we should start looking at air conditioning in our schools. And right now, we don't have the money to air condition all of our schools, and maybe the parents would consider that and give us some additional monies, either through referendum or taxes, so that we don't have to wait as long to get that done. But at this point, that's the only resolution we have.
I think I have a bad connection.
Yeah, it sounds like someone else is calling through. Caller, are you still on the line?
Yes, I'm still on the line. I think I had a bad connection. I didn't hear Dr. Poteet. But that is a concern, for myself and my children, as they had indicated that classrooms were very hot, with the, that is a concern. So I do apologize. I didn't hear Dr.
All
Poteet's
right.
response.
Can you hear me now?
Another,
Caller, can you hear me now? Hello? Caller? Okay.
yes, I'm having a bad connection, so I'm going to drop.
All right, caller.
Now, Mrs. Boyle, that beeping that we hear, is that another caller?
That's another call trying to come through. Yes.
While the other person is speaking?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a caller on the line now. May I pick up?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, caller. You joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address, and please spell your name, and then you can make your comment to the board. Hold on. Lost the volume again. Hold on one moment, caller. Caller?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, it's still not coming up loud.
I have my volume turned up loud.
Yes, I know you do. This end, it's not coming up as loud. Caller, can you speak? I just want to judge the volume.
My name is Teresa, T-H-E-R-E-S-A. Last name Warren, W-A-R-R-E-N, 78 Woodhaven Way, Sicklerville, New Jersey. Can I make a comment now? Or?
I don't believe they're going to hear you. That's the problem.
We can hear them. We can hear the person.
Mr. Boyle.
Oh, wait,
Sorry?
wait.
We can hear them.
Caller, can you speak now?
Yes. Do you want me to repeat it?
Yes.
Okay, Teresa, T-H-E-R-E-S-A. Last name Warren, W-A-R-R-E-N, 78 Woodhaven Way, Sicklerville, New Jersey.
All right, if you can make your comment. This is horrible.
Yes. I have a comment. My daughter's a senior, and I know they canceled the senior trip, and I understand that. But it's been some time now, and I'm just checking to see what is the plans for either a social something, if it's not a prom, or a social distance graduation. Because last year, even during COVID, a lot of the high schools in the area had social distance graduations outside. And they've gotten so much taken away from them. I want to know if they at least going to have, you guys are planning to have a social distance graduation at least.
Caller, if you would call Mr. Morella, the principal at the high school. I know they are.
Comment?
Excuse me? Can you hear me?
I can barely hear you.
Yeah, I understand, caller. Dr. Poteet suggested that you call Mr. Morella at the high school to see what plans they have for the seniors.
Okay, isn't that a board decision as well, or it's a high school decision?
That's a high school decision.
Okay. Okay, that's all. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Sorry for the difficulty.
No problem. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good evening. You've joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name. And
my name is Cindy Skernick, and I live at 50 Brearley Drive in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
Ms. Skernick, if you would make your comment.
I would just like to say thank you to Mr. Blake. He is advocating for families here in this county, families who may have possibly gone from one income
to 2 incomes may still not qualify for the stringent need for aid for uniforms, but may still be financially strapped because their previous bills of their mortgage and car payment were based on that 2 income. The fact that you guys are requiring uniforms for kids to wear for about 30 days, probably grow over the summer, and then go back to school, I think is a horrendous abuse of power and a complete disregard for how families feel in this district that may need some financial assistance. And as Ms. McClendon did also mention, some people do have trouble going out and asking for help. Some people may be afraid that if they admit that they can't afford these uniforms for their kids, some authority's going to knock on their door. If we have, you know, students here that whose parents may have issues with being here legally, it's ridiculous that you guys are being so strong-held for these uniforms for about 30 days of education when you're giving out food in your schools and people are showing up for it. Like, your priorities are off the wall. And I will say that my son is doing extremely well. His teacher is phenomenal, and he has gone to school many times in PJs. But thank you, Mr. Blake, Mrs. McClendon, and John Shaw. I believe you all spoke on behalf of the parents. Thank you.
Ms. Gernick? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you were still on the line. All right. So I believe the board heard your comment.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gernick. All right. Here it comes. Good evening, caller. You've joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address, and please spell your name, then you can make your comment to the board.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thanks for your time tonight. This is Debbie Solon, SCULLIN. I hate to bring this up yet again about the uniforms. I know this has been a hot topic for a while. However, at this current time, my family does not qualify for uniform assistance. However, we are prepping for my husband's possible release from his corporation. His entire executive team, except 2 people, were eliminated, including his direct vice president. This is right now a very big financial burden. I would ask that we reconsider that at least we open up maybe some of the, like, just the solid colors with some kind of compromise. How do we feel about that? Really to discuss?
Caller, I'm going to ask you to hold on 1 second. I'm going to try to get the volume up. I'm not certain that the board could hear your comment. So if you would be patient with me for a moment. All right. It would be nice if you could just speak so I can see how the volume is working.
Okay, not a problem. Can you hear me?
I think I might be the only one, and I have no tech here.
Mrs. Boyle, are we trying something new tonight?
Yes, we are. Hold on 1 second. Yes, Dr. Poteet, in light of the storm, the pending storm, we were trying to get the calls transferred to a phone, which could be answered remotely. And for some reason, I'm having difficulty getting the volume up.
Be put on speaker, Mrs. Boyle, would that help, or are they already on speaker?
Yeah, caller, can you speak again? Yeah, the caller is still on the line. I can't get the speaker to work.
Ms. Bull, do you have anyone here from the tech department?
I'm on the third floor at my home, so they're not here.
Okay.
Not going to help me out. I don't understand.
Because I really don't think that is fair to the public.
No, it's not. I give you that.
Because we simply cannot hear them. Okay, so I'm going to ask some of our crackpot tech people, board members. I'm looking now at Ms. McClendon for some suggestions.
Hold on, let me put them on.
And any other board member who is tech savvy or has had this experience to see if we can move this along or help us. I see. All right.
Ms. Boyle, you said you did have it on speaker already? Or is there no speakerphone?
She's muted.
Sorry.
I'm muted because I have another phone here. I'm trying to work both of them.
Okay. Does the phone you have, does it have a speakerphone?
Yes, it does. Caller, are you still on the line?
Yes, I am still on the line.
All right.
Much better.
That sounds better, Ms.
That sounds
Boyle.
better,
Whatever you
but
just did, that sounds much better.
all right. Go ahead, caller. If you would, let's start from the beginning. If you would state your name and address and then make your comment.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
My name is Debbie Bolin, SCULLIN, Woodford Works in Winslow Township. I would like the board to consider relaxing the uniform policy at this time because personally for us, we do not qualify at this time for assistance. However, we're prepping and trying to save money because my husband's job is in jeopardy. His entire corporate national team, including his VP, have been eliminated. And we have to prepare. It's very hard. And not only that, we can't try on the clothes in the stores. Ordering online is definitely dicey. If we could even consider relaxing to a solid colors and just expand the colors so that way we have more availability. Any compromise I think would be greatly appreciated at this time. I do believe in uniforms, however, it is really difficult at this time.
All right, caller, board members, you heard the caller's comment?
You, Mrs. Boyle.
Okay, thank you. All right, caller, I haven't gotten a response. I think they've heard your comment and will take it under advisement.
Thank you very much. I most definitely appreciate everybody's time and have a great evening.
Thank you. You too. Good evening, caller. You've joined the public comment section of the board meeting. State your address. You comment.
Hello, my name is Adam Sheridan. I'm chair of the Health and Safety Committee for the Winslow Township Education Association.
Yes, Mr. Sheridan, if you would make your comment.
Good evening, members of Dr. Poteet. My name is Sheridan. I'm the Health and Safety Committee chair for the Winslow Township Education Association. Let me begin my comment by just extending our association's deepest gratitude for our board and for our administration's continued safeguarding of the safety of our Winslow school staff. Your decisions last month were greeted with a great deal of relief and admiration, and we all thank you. We also applaud your attempts to use your power as local officials to prioritize school staff for vaccines. Like you, we were dismayed to learn of Governor Murphy's decision to deprioritize school staff in the vaccine rollout, and we are also struggling with the fallout of his ill-considered decision. Since last month, WTEA has been working overtime to secure vaccination appointments for all of our members. As you are all no doubt aware, this has been an extremely difficult task. To provide some context for the discussions and decisions tonight, I have up-to-date data on the rates of vaccination for the Winslow school staff that I'd like to share with you. We surveyed our entire membership and we achieved a response rate of nearly 2/3. Our picture of a difficult and inconsistent vaccination program, a challenge which I know all residents of our state are contending. By March 1st, our scheduled return date currently, our data indicates that only 77 of our staff members will have received their first shot of either the Moderna or Pfizer vaccine. However, due to the 2-week lag time between vaccination and the onset of even limited immunity after the first shot, only 51 of those 77 members will have protection from infection by March 1st. This is not from a lack of trying. We are working hard to find open appointments for our members and to connect staff with those vaccine opportunities. Over 200 respondents to our survey indicated they had tried more than once to secure an appointment for vaccination and had been unable to do so. That situation begins to improve over the course of the month of April. Our data indicates that by April 1st, an estimated 202 staff members will have received their first shot, though only 190 of those will have immunity by the beginning of April. By May 1st, this number grows to 250 staff members with immunity, though it is hoped that that number will increase further as the pace of vaccination increases, as the governor has promised it will. I would be remiss if I didn't break down some of the data by job title. Fewer than one vaccine by March 1st. Fewer than 10 of our secretary members will have the first dose by March 1st. Some of our secretary members have been working in person since January, and social distancing and proper ventilation are difficult to come by on a school bus, especially in the winter. The association's interest in protecting our support staff members is just as vital and important as the protection of our classroom teachers and certificated staff. Given this data, the association wishes to suggest that we employ a phased-in approach to returning to in-person learning. We can open some classrooms by March 1st, as has been promised to our community. It seems prudent to us, however, not to open all of them at once. If only 25% of our students are returning, as was tested earlier in this meeting, we can make this work without 100% of the staff. It should also be mentioned at this time that 98% of the staff are not planning to return because they feel comfortable doing so, but because we are not being given a choice. We have to pay our bills. If the board and our central administration are willing to work together with, and if we are creative and collaborative in good faith, we can create a situation where everyone benefits. In-person learning can resume in a limited way on March 1st and can continue to expand as more staff are fully vaccinated and can return safely to buildings, offices, and buses. It should also be noted that given the impending beginning of state testing, we are not returning to the hybrid model so as to immediately begin our normal program of instruction. Many students will spend the bulk of March completing a computerized standardized test. There is a way to create a win-win situation here, and the association implores our members and to consider this option. We have gotten through this crisis together thus far, and we can see it through to the end together. Thank you for your time and consideration.
So Mr. Sheraton has disconnected, and I'm waiting for another caller to come through. Good evening, caller. You've joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and spell your name and your address, then you can make your comment to the board.
Good evening. This is Will Feliciano, 37 Wilson Drive in Sicklerville in Wyndham Hill.
Can you spell your name, sir?
Yes, I'm sorry. That's F like Frank, E-L-I-C-I-A, N as in Nancy, O.
All right. Would you like to make your comment to the board?
Yes, thank you. So just a couple of questions here that I have in discussing this with other parents within the community as well as my wife and children. I know that the initial rollout for the students to return back to school was delayed with the hopes that the teachers could get vaccinated in a timely manner. Seeing as how vaccination hasn't been reached at this point, kind of echoing the statement of the previous caller, is there any particular reason why they've continued to move forward with that March 1st date rather than doing it as a tentative return to school?
Members of
What was
the,
the question heard there? I'm sorry.
I'm asking, members of the board, did you hear the caller's comment or question?
Can you repeat that, Ms. Boyle? Because I didn't think I heard him completely, the comment.
Mr.
What was the
Feliciano?
question?
Or Mr.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear, who was that, Miss?
Yes, I can hear him.
Clendon? Can you hear him? All right.
I can hear him, yes.
I'm actually not able to hear the response now.
All right, can you just repeat what you said, Mr. Feliciano?
The question was, why are we opening on
So I know that the initial reason for the return to school date being pushed back based on the previous meetings was in order to accommodate teachers for vaccinations. And kind of piggybacking off of the last callers, the numbers that they stated with that vaccination of the faculty, the teachers, not really being something feasible by March 1st. Is there any particular reason that the board feels that it's necessary to move forward with that when that minimum requirement of the teachers being vaccinated will more than likely not be met by March 1st?
Mrs. Boyle, I can respond in part to that. The decision to move the reopening date to March the 1st was in part due to the teachers getting vaccinated, but the other consideration was the positivity rate or the spread of the virus in Winslow Township at the time was nearly 17%, and the board took that under consideration. And we also said, that's why I do it every week, we monitor the spread of the virus, and right now we're at 8%. In addition, as you well know, I know the teachers and everyone is aware of the CDC regulations that's out there, and they are also stating that the vaccination is not necessarily required in order to open schools, as long as the school district does certain things. One would be that everyone continue to wear masks, that social distancing is continued, that the HVAC or the circulation in the building is something that is occurring. And at this point, we have been able to fulfill those recommendations as required by the CDC. The other thing I'd like to mention is the fact that, you know, we have continued to follow the science. We have continued to try to address the recommendations. So we do have the PPE equipment. We do have our schools set up for social distancing. We have spent money, as you've heard tonight, in making sure the HVAC systems are operating and safe for the return. So all those things have been considered in the decision to reopen on March 1st.
Okay, and just a kind of a follow-up question to that, with regard to the air filtration system that you'd mentioned, the repairs and upgrades that were made to the different schools. There were recently updates to the CDC guidelines that indicated that the most efficient form of masking would be double masking. Is that something that's been taken into consideration for when those masks are provided to students? And also for the air filtration systems, will proper circulation be taking place in the rooms where the students actually are, and not just in the general ventilation within the school? Since there were studies that were done recently that showed that a person could contract COVID with as little as 5 minutes of exposure, 20 feet away from a person with not proper ventilation and circulation. And we're saying that masks can be removed in eating areas. So I just kind of want to wonder if that's considered with the filtration and with the PPE.
Yes, that is a consideration. In addition to the upgrades to the HVAC, we also put air purifiers in all of the units. So we are certain that we will have purified air in every classroom and throughout the building, because the rooftop units have also been serviced and also have air purifiers installed. Whether or not an individual want to wear double masks, because that is a recommendation, not necessarily a requirement. So if a teacher or a student, if a parent want their child to wear a double mask, they may do so. We will provide masks to students. Based on the questions you've asked, yes, we have done all those things you've asked, and we are prepared to provide students with the PPE equipment as well as the staff.
Okay. One other question too is, what is the contingency plan in the event that a member of the faculty or staff or even a student is tested positive for COVID? If there is a positive test, I understand that there is going to be a quarantine period. However, if that teacher is currently providing lessons to those students that are currently in the class, what does that do for the education time frame? What does that do for any remote students that are currently with that teacher? Are there contingencies or plans in place for that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Those plans have been in place since the beginning of the school year back in August. If anyone contract the virus, we reported immediately to the Camden County Department of Health. That particular teacher is isolated until they are removed from the building. Contact tracing, will take place by the health department, and based on their outcomes, decisions will be made. Now, that particular teacher, if that virus is contracted within the building itself, will have an opportunity to continue to teach remotely. But we are also making sure that you cannot come into the building and contract the virus, and it can't be traced to the building outside of the school itself. And then we have to look at it totally different. But at this point, all the safety precautions are in place, have been in place, and we will follow them because we have committed to the CDC regulations, as well as the direction that's been given to us by the State Department of Health, as well as the Camden County Department of Health. So those protocols are in place.
Okay. And one final note, I know that I'm close to time here, so I apologize, but I just wanted to kind of, more on a bit of a personal note, just wanted to state, this is the first time I've attended one of your board meetings. I certainly plan on making it a regular occurrence going forward, but I will state, I do appreciate the commitment that everyone seems to be, those of you that are speaking up and advocating for the parents of the students there. I know you mentioned a few times the uniforms. I won't reiterate that. I think all the points have been made to this point. But I will state one matter that I want everyone to take into consideration is that you've mentioned funding and the money that was necessary to provide the necessary upgrades and repairs to return students. And I want you all to consider the NBA is a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and they had bubbles going on throughout the NBA season and still had players that were contracted and having positive tests with COVID. So it's still a very unpredictable world that we live in right now. I'm sure I don't have to state that to you all, but I hope that as we progress through the rest of the school year, none of the rules or things that you put into place are so set in stone that you can't adjust in the moment. If this plan to return back to school on March 1st ends up being not necessarily the wisest decision, if we're able to kind of pull that back for the betterment of the community and the students. So I just wanted to kind of state that on the personal record. But thank you for your time tonight.
Yes.
I hope everyone has a great evening, and please stay safe.
Yes, and Carl, I just want to say for the record that the school district is prepared to make whatever adjustments that are necessary in the best interest of the staff and the students. So yes, we do know that things need to be done. But let me just also mention the fact that we are not in school and people are still catching the virus outside of school. So it's not necessarily a situation of returning to school that the virus is going to spread. People have to continue to monitor and do the things that's necessary to keep themselves safe outside of school. So I know there's no flawless program and no flawless situation out there at all. But we as a school district will do whatever is necessary. And if we have to shut down, then we'll do that, as many of my colleagues have done throughout the state.
Completely understood. I appreciate the feedback. And I will just say one thing. My grandfather used to always say, Just because it's raining doesn't mean you have to put the umbrella down. You know, just because everybody's getting wet. So just kind of want to say that.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, folks.
There was another call that had come through. And here it comes. Good evening, caller. You've joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address, also please spell your name, and then you can make your comment to the board.
My name is Tina Marshall, Marshall. I live at 9 Celia Street in Sicklerville. I had a couple questions. We're talking about circulation and the ventilation system, and I brought this up a couple of times. Putting a fan in a room that doesn't have proper ventilation is not doing anything. And I'm confused on how the district spent $1 million fixing systems that should have been fixed over the years. To me, it sounds like a bunch of Band-Aids. And I'm kind of confused on how children are going to have masks on and it being 90 degrees in a classroom with a single fan with windows that don't open properly. So I keep hearing excuses, but I'm not hearing any solutions. And so I'm kind of confused by that.
Caller, let me respond. I don't recall anyone mentioning fans. We are not using fans in our schools for.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, caller. Dr. Poteet is responding. Can you hear?
No, I cannot. And that seems to be the situation tonight.
Okay, can you hear me now? Hello?
Caller?
Hello?
Caller, you can't hear the superintendent?
I cannot. I can only hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Hello?
You know, this is very difficult to have a board meeting where the comments are supposed to be opened up to the public, and we're having such, there's no communication. I'm looking at my screen and I see everybody just kind of like looking around, and it's very disheartening, and it's very confusing on how we can't even get a board meeting, but we're expected to send our children back into the schools.
So, caller.
And the number one thing that we're worried about is uniforms.
So, caller, hold on one second. Board members, did you hear the caller's comments?
Yes.
Very clearly.
Okay,
Yes.
clearly.
So can she hear the response?
She's saying she can't. I can. I'm sitting in this. Know how it's not communicating through.
Well, I think for those who are listening, I do want to respond. We're not using fans in our schools. That was not a part of the work that's been done by CM3. As a matter of fact, I also want to mention the fact that the system repairs as well as the air purification system is something that all school districts are doing to improve air quality. It's not a matter of the school district not doing what is expected. Our systems were up and running, but the virus required us to do things differently. So it was not a problem with the systems per se prior to the pandemic. When you have a situation with the pandemic or this disease is airborne, that is why you had to make the necessary changes, not because there was any neglect on the part of the district and not getting any work done. So that is misinformation, and the school district is not using fans, nor have anyone mentioned fans being placed in the classrooms at any time.
I heard a little bit of what Dr. Poteet just said, and I do believe that 2 board meetings ago, Dr. Poteet made comments about fans going into classrooms. But it's neither here nor there, because we just keep getting the same response each time. I just want to know why we can't even a board meeting where I can barely hear what the superintendent was saying. To go out and spend money for a uniform, to go back into a school I don't even know is safe for my child. So I have one question for the board and the entire board. Is the board going to start going in person for their meetings since they're sending our children back to school?
Ms. Marshall, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Ms. Marshall, can you hear me?
It's very faint.
Can you hear me better now?
A little bit better.
Okay. Ms. Marshall, this is Cheryl Pitts. With regards to your question as to whether or not board members will be going in person, that is an absolute possibility. We would not, I repeat, we would not expect any of our students to do something that we would not do ourselves. And with regards to this evening, let me be the first to apologize to not only you, but to the entire community who is listening in and attempting to call into us. This internet connectivity is not anything to be taken lightly, and sometimes things happen that we absolutely have no control over. But again, Ms. Marshall, to your point, all of our board meetings do not, I repeat, do not come out in this manner as it relates to public comment. So I'm hoping that we are clear on that. Can you hear me, Ms. Marshall?
Understood.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for dismissing me, Ms. Pitts. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
No, she said she was being dismissed.
Oh, is that what she said?
I think so.
Yes.
Internet connectivity. I did not hear that.
Good evening, caller. You have joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address, please spell your name, and then you can make your comment to the board.
Hi, my name is Danielle Frieda, DanielleFreda, and I live 31 Fawn Hollow Lane, Mulligan Hill, New Jersey. I'm a teacher at the high school.
Thank you, Ms. Fried. If you would make your comment.
Yes, hi. Just wanted to thank the board for everything that they've been doing all along. I just have a quick question. I have been teaching for 28 years. I love my job. I love being in front of the students. And I was just wondering, I took a look at my roll book and I see that about 10 of my students are returning out of 85. And one of my colleagues went in yesterday just to test the technology, and she said she took 3 calls to talk to her students and teacher classes, and she couldn't even get through. And it was sort of chaotic, and I just wondered, is it worth it for us to go back when we're doing a great job? I feel like I'm doing a great job. I'm doing everything that I could have done in front of my class that I'm doing here at home, and I just wondered if it is all worth it. And I wondered if we could just wait a little bit until many of us can get vaccinated.
The first part of the question in reference to connectivity, I think that is something we would have to address with Mr. Morella. We're not aware of anyone going in and having difficulty. So that's something we would have to check. As far as coming in and whether or not it's worth it, there are a lot of different opinions. And right now, with 1,300 students signed up to return, obviously there are some parents who feel differently than what you.
Right now.
Caller, could you turn the device down in the background? Thank you.
And so we are listening to the different.
Turn the device down in the background. Yes.
We listen to the various opinions coming from, the parents as well as staff members. But at this point, I just want to reiterate the fact that, we have parents out there who feel differently than you, and of course, want their children in school. So my responsibility is to prepare the schools for hybrid instruction, and that was my task, and I moved forward and doing the things that we felt was necessary to make that happen.
Caller, are you still on the line?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I am.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Caller, you've joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you'd state your name and address, you can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Lakeisha Ajablum, 104 Golden Meadow Lane,
Can you?
Nicholasville, New Jersey.
Thank you, caller. Can you spell your last name?
AJAEGCULEMH.
Thank you, caller. If you can make your comment.
No. Okay, so God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, I know how it feels to be bullied. If my post wasn't deleted, I wouldn't be on this phone right now. So I thank you. I don't use my voice just to hear myself. I'm an introvert. I don't deal with too many people for this very reason. But to whom much is given, much is required. There's nothing confusing about the truth. I left that proud parent group and created my own. I want you all to know why you should care. I was on fire, ready to call for resignations if necessary. I said, we're not going to remember in November, we're going to remember now. My motivational message for a win-win was silenced by an admin. No comments could be made. The people that called me vague and confusing under posts were getting like and love emojis. Even one of your current serving board member. Yes, a like emoji on a comment calling someone confusing and vague is a form of bullying. I am not being dramatic or emotional. The proof is printed. The analysis shows 32 good, 24 bullied. But they had more power. Therefore, my goodbye post didn't stay for your reading pleasure. It was removed. Teachers, I truly wanted to be your voice on there. When I see people now, I get away. I don't take speaking up for you lightly. I might not get the answer you want, but I usually go for the answer and get it for you. You say you love our teachers. I was trying to bridge a gap and show love. Now, why in the world would that not be accepted? Or better yet, being confusing or even a rumor. When it wasn't a rumor, the teachers got an email, like I stated, confirmed by the teachers. That was my first step. But I won't hold a grudge, but I won't forget. Making sure our teachers, staff, parents are supported, even our superintendent, to the very best of our ability is what should be our focus. If you are a teacher, my advice to you is leave that group for your mental sanity. I am a victim of bullying from that proud parent group, and that should not be tolerated or accepted. I didn't want to be further victimized, so I left. And I don't want another person to be victimized or a victim. So I'm calling on the board, not blaming the board, but calling for action by implementing somewhere on your school homepages a disclaimer so parents like myself explicitly understand that Winslow does not affiliate with any parent group and does not tolerate bullying or passive-aggressive behavior. Furthermore, advise each other and hold each other accountable from engaging in creating such toxicity.
Compromise and win-win solutions are the key to success. I want you to pull out your tools of compassion, empathy, understanding, respect, overall unity. Thank you for listening and have a good night.
Thank you, caller.
Mrs. Boyle,
Yes, Dr. Poteet.
I've been trying to communicate with Mike Aponte, and he's pretty much asking if he put the call in on our website where people can call right into the meeting. Would that be helpful?
If they were to call right into the meeting, I wouldn't
Right.
know how to introduce that in or bring it in.
Oh, okay. All right. In the meantime, I'm just trying to help out in with this clarity and whether or not people can hear responses and or questions. In between calls, maybe you want to reach out to Mike Aponte and see if it's something that he can do to assist us. Just trying to help make this situation a little better.
On direct web. Okay. Let me reach out to Mr. Aponte. I don't have anybody on the line now.
Okay. But in the meantime, could you see if
I'll
we
reach
can...
out to Mr. Aponte. Okay, Doc.
So while we're waiting for a call, I wanted to make a comment. If you would make parents feel better, I know would make me feel better. If some of the board members could tour the schools to see what the conditions are and, maybe find out what the what the issues are that we can't see from here. I understand, a parent asking about the board meetings, like, are we going back in person if the kids can go back to school? I get that. So, obviously, if we feel comfortable, then we need to make that happen. I would say that if we do go that way, that we hopefully will continue to broadcast by live stream, because it has definitely brought a lot of parents out who never would have shown up to in-person meetings. But those are just some things I'd like us to consider.
Pardon me. Prior caller is still on the line. The one that was discussing the parent group. So was there any response to the caller? Caller, I believe the board has heard your comments. I don't know if there's a direct response at this time.
Okay. So I would like to make sure they update on their website, use a disclaimer or something like I suggested. And that's all that I'm asking for now.
Okay, caller. Members, did you hear that?
Good night.
Yes. Yes. All right. Thank you, caller.
Okay.
Dr. Poteet, may I make a comment?
Absolutely.
And I think my comment after hearing Ms. McClendon talk about the Winslow sanction Facebook page, I think it started maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
That's the only one that we have control over. And I know the situation a couple of years
calling through the website.
So I just want to assure people that the only one we can control is our own Facebook page. And I thank Ms. McKendon for being the person that's spearheading any updates with your assistance. I appreciate that. I would not want to be perceived that we
different pages. Could you be able to,
Mrs. Boyle, you need to mute your mic while you're
thought
communicating.
I was, Doc, sorry.
We can hear you.
Dr. Poteet,
Yes.
can we acknowledge real quick the passing of Dr. Schreiner?
Yes.
If you would handle that, Mr. Shaw, I only knew him by name. I never met him. I don't know much about him. Only when I first arrived, I was told of the gentleman. So if you would do that at this point, I would appreciate it.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw, can I interrupt for a minute? You said it was Dr. Schreiner?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, let me be perfectly clear. When you called me and when we had a conversation a day or so ago, did you say that this was Dr. Schreiner or did you say that this was a teacher?
No, Dr. Schreiner.
Okay, then I misunderstood. I thought you said that this was a teacher in the district who was.
I was told about this. What was it, Dr. Poteet? I contacted you over the weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
From what I read, I think was he the prior superintendent? Or
He was the superintendent that predated 2004. Yes,
Yeah.
Dr. Schreiner.
So
I thought that you had told me. Okay.
So I just wanted to, because I was told about him passing away over the weekend. I let Dr. Poteet know. So I just wanted to, recognize the fact that, one of our previous superintendents from the district had passed away.
And did you say he passed away due to COVID?
Yes.
Madam President, may I say something while we're still waiting for callers?
I'm sorry, Ms. McClendon.
Can you hear me, Madam President?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I just wanted to say, I wanted to go back to what Ms. Moore had just mentioned. I was thinking something along the same idea of
Now, hold on, Ms.
possibly.
McClendon, you're fading.
I'm fading?
Okay, okay, that's good.
Okay, sorry about that. I wanted to go back to what Ms. Moore was saying because I was actually thinking along the same line just before the schools open. If it's possible for the board members or whoever would like to maybe tour the schools just to see what our students will be walking into and what the layout is of it. I mean, that's something that I would definitely be interested in doing. Either as a board or as individuals, but I definitely like that idea, and that was something that I was thinking about as well in the back of my mind at one point of being able to go in first to kind of see the layout so we have an idea of how the school is going to look and what's going to partake as far as movement and so forth. If it's only one-way movement or if it's back and forth with the hallways, just so that we have an understanding before our students actually take those the steps back into the buildings.
Okay. I too think that's a good suggestion. And board members, what I would say is this: for those of us who are going to check, we would need to first, of course, get with Dr. Poteet to make sure of the date and time and scheduling. But board members, I would want us to be mindful of this, that no more than 4 of us can come in at a time. Now, I want us to be clear on that. No more than 4 of us can come in at any given time. And I support that, Ms. Moore. I think that's a good recommendation. Because as I said to the caller, it is really not possible or feasible or likely that as sitting board members, that we would bring children into a building or buildings that we ourselves would not come into. That just will not happen. Dr. Poteet?
Yes, Mrs. Pitts, it'd just be a matter of those board members letting me know if they're going to attend. They want to visit all the buildings or several buildings so that the principals will be available. And I think it'd be helpful if the principals knew so that the principals can take them around the buildings and show them whatever it is they want to see. So it's just a matter of letting me know who and when this is going to occur so we can schedule it. That's all. It's not a problem.
The board members, are we clear?
Yes,
Madam President.
Dr. Poteet.
Okay, now, board members, one at a time. I think Mr. Blake, I think Miss Thomas, and I think Miss Dredden, and then I think Mr. Shaw. Okay, so let's go in that order. Mr. Blake?
Dr. Dr. Poteet, would you like that in writing? An email of when we would like to stop at the schools?
Well, I think why don't you communicate between yourselves to find out what's a good time for all of you, you know, instead of me getting different dates and times. I think as a board, you should decide who's going to attend, what dates are convenient for whichever number there is, and then send that to me. And then I'll let the building principals know what time, what schools, so that they can expect you.
Okay.
Ms. Thomas, I think you had a question or comment?
Madam President, I did not. But I am willing to visit and tour one of the schools.
Okay. Ms. Dredden, did you have a comment?
Yes, I did. I was saying that since we are assigned to different schools, I don't see why we can't go to our assigned school, make appointment with our with the principal, and go visit our schools. Each of us could go to our own schools and check it out and see what's going on in school.
It's a very good idea, Ms. Dredden. Mr. Shaw?
Ms. Dredden took my idea, and I was going to say that we can make the arrangements with, send an email out to the whole, the board, and see if anybody wanted to join us with the appointment that we set up with the building principal for our school that we represent.
Okay, now it seems that unless any other board members have objections, it seems that Ms. Dredden's suggestion was one that we could absolutely do in a very coordinated fashion. So I would ask board members, you all know what schools you are assigned to. If you would please email Dr. Poteet and let him know whether or not what your particular school is and what your particular time would be to come in with a CC to that principal of that school building. Because that principal of that school building certainly must be notified that we're coming in. Now, is there anything that is not clear, board members?
I just have one recommendation.
Yes, Mr. Blake.
If you would like to visit, if it's okay with the board, but if you would like to visit additional schools, like for example, like I might want to see the middle school. Will it be okay if I coordinate whoever's in the middle school that I can go with that particular board member?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
That was a great idea, Mr. Blake. I was about to say the same thing. I personally would like to see all the schools. Even though I'm assigned to school 4, my child will be at the high school. So I would like to see all of the schools and just, coordinate with the individual board member that's going to that school and coordinate it with them on day and time.
Okay, Ms. McClendon. Mr. Shaw?
No, I was raising my hand so Ms. McClendon knew that she wanted to go see the high school. I'm the high school rep.
Okay, so here's where we are. We just want to, I think, again, Ms. Dredden's suggestion was good because this way we can be assured that all 8 buildings, and don't forget there is an administration building, but that all 8 of our school buildings have received a walkthrough from one or more of our board members. Is that our understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Mrs. Pitts, I would just like to make sure that so that it is in a coordinated manner, scheduled, so there is no confusion, that we still submit who's going when, where, and what time in advance, so that people just don't show up and if the principal's not there or the principal has a meeting or doing something online, meeting with a parent or whatever it may be, so that the principal is available during that time, because we are at the point where work is being done. So if they would come in, hopefully before the teachers arrive on the 22nd. So next week will be a good time for that. But once the teachers come in, then we're in full operation. So I would recommend that we still do it in an orderly manner and let us know who's coming, what time, which school, so that the building principals will be available.
Now, board members, are you clear on that? So your first step would be to contact the building principal to get a convenient date and time from them, and an agreed upon time from them. And then your second step would be to send an email to Dr. Poteet so that he will be aware of which board members are coming in at what times.
Okay.
Are we okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. And okay, fine.
Now,
did we lose Ms. Boyle?
Mrs. Pitts?
Yes.
Can that contact come to me first and then to the building principals?
Okay, fine. Board members, you heard Dr. Poteet's request. Can we first contact Dr. Poteet to let him know what building, what date, what time, and then we can contact the principals?
Yes.
I'm a little confused. So if we contact Dr. Poteet first, we won't have a date and time because we haven't found the availability from the actual principal. So, but I do, I understand maybe we should just do the email to Dr. Poteet and the building principal, and then we can all collaborate on that one email, because we'll let Dr. Poteet know, but we don't know the availability of the principal when to come in. So it's kind of taking us back and forth. So I agree the first email should be Dr. Poteet, but maybe CC or the principal in there as well, so that the response comes back between just that group, so we can decide what day and time is convenient.
I don't want to make this difficult. As a matter of fact, I want you to see. I mean, because with all the work we've done, if the board members can't go in and do a tour, then nobody can. So I want you to go to the buildings. I want you to see all the work that we've done. That's not a problem. So whatever is easier, Mrs. Pitts, for the board members, fine. The only thing we have in place, the protocols is pretty much the same. I just need to know what's going on, because in the event there is an issue, you can't come back to me after the fact to try to fix it. I just want to be a part of coordinating to make sure things happen. That's all. But we'll work it out. So you can contact the building principals with your dates, and then let me know what has been agreed upon, so that everything is moved smoothly. Not a problem. Okay? It's not a problem.
Are we all clear, board members?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Moore. Now, board
Dr.
members.
Poteet, pardon me, Ms. Pitts.
Who?
Ms.
Boyle. Okay.
Okay, we have a way for callers to join right into the meeting with us. If they want to make public comments, if you would like to open that back up. We do have one caller on the line. We ask any that wish to participate to join our webpage, look under news and announcements, and then click on live stream board meeting, and there's a link. It'll introduce you right into the meeting, and we'll call you down. We'll introduce you as you in. So right now we do have one caller on the line. Would you like me to wait, Ms. Pitts, until if I kind of interrupted your thought?
Well, no, that's fine. That's fine, because we were just going around with a situation until you were able to come back and join us. And so now that you've made that announcement, and that's good. And so if there's a person in queue, then we are ready to hear from them.
Okay, so we do have a caller in queue. Mike, you're going to bring him in?
Hello.
Yes, call. Join the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address, and please spell your name, and then you can make your comment to the board.
My name is Simone Moore, S-I-M-O-N-E, and I'm the 8 Hawthorne. I would like the schools to reopen March first, I know there is some concern for safety. My son is excited to go back. Since the summertime, he's been playing numerous sports, baseball, football, basketball. He's doing indoor baseball. And some of these things, I feel there is no social distancing. So I just feel like if he's able to do this, then why shouldn't he go back to school? And I know some parents are concerned, they don't feel safe. And I mean, they can send their kids, they can have their kids stay remote, but there are parents that do want to send their kids back to school. My son does want to go back to school. And another thing, as far as the uniform, I know it's also some parents who, before the pandemic, they didn't have the means either. And I know some people were concerned about bullying as far as their kids not having the latest name brand if they were not to wear uniforms. So that's something else that people also should consider. Because now when you don't have uniforms, now you may have some kids who may not have the, newest brands, and, now everybody's not in uniform. So this person may have these Jordans, this person may have this, so that's another concern that people don't think about also. So that's just me and, as far as my kid, but he is excited to go back. So whatever decision I make, if y'all wait till next year, then that's fine. But he's going to be one in school, not me. So he's excited to see other kids. So that was it. That's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Caller, you've joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you'd like to state your name and address and spell your name, please, and then you can make your comment to the board. Mike, I have the caller on the line. Caller, you joined the public comment section. They're muted, Mike. Yes. That caller is muted, Mike. Caller, you joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you could state your name and address. Yeah, that caller is still muted. Be right back, board. I'm just. Okay, Ms. Pitts, that was Mr. Aponte on the line, and he was not unmuting. So currently, no one joined in through the WebEx. Nobody called in through the cell phone.
Okay. Thank you.
Get,
okay. All right. I think we've really done a good job this evening, in spite of the internet connectivity. So therefore, board members, at this time, I'm asking for a motion to adjourn public comments.
Motion to adjourn public comments.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Moore to adjourn public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you. Mr. Long, would there be an executive session this evening?
No, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Board members, therefore, at this time, which is approximately 9:16, I'm asking for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn meeting.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, board members. Have a good evening. Be safe.
Thank you.
Healthy.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
And
Thank you, everyone.
let's be all stay healthy. Good night.